course, on a show called The American Dream, you got to talk about the real estate game, but I love getting into niche expertise. Joining us out of Beverly Hills, Kofi Nartey. You are with Compass. You're an author of Celebrity. You got a $60 million listing, and you're coaching realtors on luxury real estate and helping celebrities sell their home and more, right? So thanks for coming on the show.
Of course. It's great to be here,
So let's dive right in, man. I mean,
Sure.
everything about what you do is cool and sexy, right? Working with celebrities, luxury real estate, it's something that I think entertains just about everybody.
Right.
And it's obviously your profession and your business. So talk about that, working in the luxury real estate market out of
Right.
Beverly Hills. How is it?
Well, first, it's cool and sexy on the surface.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like cool, calm, and collected, like the duck on water. But we're pedaling every single day, working with not only celebrity clients, but high net worth individuals, high expectations. We're working with their gatekeepers, the business managers, the wealth managers. And when people operate and function at that level, their expectations of service are also elevated.
Sure.
So we have to be able to step up and step into that seamlessly.
Okay, so explain how you do step up, because
Sure.
selling a median price home is probably a different approach than your recent $60 million listing. How do you step up?
Well, first, it's understanding their lifestyles, right? And so if you haven't had exposure, you want to gain that exposure just so you can manage their expectations. When you reach a certain level in any industry, a lot of things are taken care of for you.
Right.
Even with the celebrities, they have craft services on set. They have people driving them places.
Yep.
They get to show up and just focus on what they need to focus on. So for us, it takes a level of understanding of the market. So the first thing is trust. And trust comes from understanding the market,
Sure.
knowing that you have the expertise, knowing that you have the integrity. And everyone who's part of my team and part of even our sports and entertainment division nationally has been vetted to not only have real estate experience, but specific experience working with people in sports and entertainment.
Right, so you're very well niched. You're talking about that market expertise. What about
Right.
marketing expertise, right?
Right.
Taking a multi-million-dollar property to market, what's the approach to get the right eyeballs? And of course, anyone who's selling their home wants top dollar. How do we do that?
It's a process. One, you have to understand who your target demographic is. A lot of things that we talk about in real estate pertain to other industries, but we apply them to real estate and we apply them to selling the story of a property.
Sure.
Right? I'll repeat that because that's really a big part of it.
Yep.
Selling the story of the property. So who are you selling that story to? Who is the home appropriate for? How do you articulate that in a way where the buyer can see themselves, hear themselves, smell themselves living in that specific property?
So how do you do it? Video, I assume?
Well, a lot of it is, one, even understanding the property itself. So we tour
Yeah.
the property, we ask the clients to tell us stories about living there. It's something a lot of agents don't do. You know, you go, you look at the four walls, you look at the bedrooms, you have the specifics, but I want to know what it was like to live here. And as they're telling me that, I'm translating that into a story that I can then tell prospective buyers.
Got it.
Then we capture the story, right? We capture the story through the photography, professional photography, day, night, twilight, the sexy
Yeah.
shots, then the videos, all of the things that capture the essence of that story. And then we use that for the marketing.
Now, when you get it out, how important is digital and social in today's world?
It's more important than ever. And it's continuing to grow in the different vehicles through social, the different vehicles through digital. We have to stay on top of that. We have to meet our clients where they are.
Don't you feel like a lot of agents ignore it or romanticize about the past?
Oh.
And kind of skip the fact that this is where, it shouldn't even be called social media anymore. It should be
Right.
called the internet. This is
Right.
where commerce happens, and it's certainly critical for real estate. Don't you think a lot of agents skip over that?
I think that it's not necessarily that they skip over it. I think they're a little bit unaware of how
Yeah.
important it is, and some of them have challenges transitioning. So they use it as an excuse more so than skipping over it. They say,
I think
well,
I framed that as romanticizing about the past.
romanticizing,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They say, well, I'd rather just meet with someone in person, or I'd rather, call somebody. And
I'm referral based. I'm all
Right,
relationship. No one's
right.
suggesting that real estate's not a relationship business, but
Right.
now there's more connectivity than ever before.
Exactly.
And you're attracting, in many cases, international buyers,
Right.
cash buyers. You got to
Right.
get the word out in a different way than you used to.
Totally different way, and it's important to utilize that technology. I use the term tech lux, right? It's technology supporting the luxury experience.
Yep.
And you don't lose the connection with people, but 87% of home searches start online.
Yep.
So you have to be online. You have to have that presence. I mean, it's kind of why I wear two watches, right? I have the tech, and then I have the lux, right?
See this?
That's it's
Love
my
it,
daily
man.
reminder.
Got
Plus,
it.
my wife bought me this one, so
Love it. All
There
right,
you
well,
go.
then you got to wear it.
Gotta
right?
wear it.
So you've written this book, Celebrity,
Yes.
right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I've been in real estate for 15, 16 years now, and about 11 of those years I've focused on sports and entertainment as a niche.
Sure.
So the book Celebrity, Celebrity, is how to build a successful sports and entertainment-based business. And I wrote it really for any industry. If you want to focus on selling to celebrities, athletes, entertainers, you have to understand certain principles, certain techniques, and that's probably the number one call that I get, an email that I get. How do you break into, celebrity and luxury real estate? So I wanted to write a book that I could share with people.
A lot of people try and break in, but they're unable to.
Correct.
So what I like about it is you mentioned that it's not just the real estate vertical. These are it's a kind of a B2B book that you're helping other business professionals understand maybe the mindset, the approach, and the execution on working with these high-class athletes.
Exactly.
What are some good takeaways? Why should someone read the book?
I think, one, if you're trying to work with celebrities and high net worth individuals, there's going to be a lot of takeaways. Two, I went to business school while I was in real estate. Okay. And I did that because of the level of clients that I was looking to service and what I wanted to bring to those clients. Wow. So interspersed throughout the book are a lot of just business practices, marketing techniques, things that anyone can use in any industry. So, and then three, it's a short book. I mean, I wrote it myself. I didn't have a ghostwriter, and that's between full-time business, 2 kids.
I don't even know if that registered with people, but I mean, if you're gonna write a book, write the damn book.
Right.
The ghostwriter thing. There's just so much phoniness out there. I'm glad you actually wrote the book, big or small. I know it's from personal experience. You're sharing
100%.
your story.
100%.
And you got a great story. I mean, you're dominating the game in Beverly Hills. You're the luxury expert up there, writing books and coaching all at the same time. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Of course. Pleasure being here, Craig.
Find him on social media and 2 watches.
2 watches.
That's a good one. Making the wife happy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks again.
All right, more of the American Dream coming up next. The American Dream is now spanning across 23 cities. Real estate, a big topic of conversation. Well, it's one thing to find your dream home. It's another thing to finance your dream home. Dave Savage, who is a mortgage guru, the CEO of Mortgage Coach, looked up to by many in the industry, joins us on the show. Dave, good to have you on.
It's great to be on the show, Craig. Always love having great conversations with you.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mortgage side of things. Seems like the industry is in a bit of chaos and disruption right now. From your point of view, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. The best of the best are still killing it. We just had in the news that Zillow bought a mortgage company. I mean, at the end of the day, for the best local mortgage professionals, it's an opportunity. I mean, they, giving great advice, helping families make the best decisions. It's as good as ever, and the best of the best are thriving.
I have to get you to comment on that, the Zillow and the Amazon thing. I just saw that as well. What do you think that's going to do to the marketplace?
I mean, everything that makes mortgages faster, more efficient, creates a modern experience for the family, I think it's great. I mean, for mortgage professionals that aren't embracing technology, they're not using mobile apps to help families make better decisions, it puts pressure on them to do so. But I think anything that's good for the family, good for the consumer, takes time out of the equation, ultimately is good for everybody.
I think in those states of chaos, there's opportunity to gain market share. You can't really gain market share if you're not a great marketer. Explain how the world has moved digitally, socially, as it pertains to the mortgage industry.
Well, I mean, you're a great example of that, of how you have built this show that helps local mortgage professionals become the digital mayor in the markets that they serve. How you're helping them connect with agents, realtors that are serious about education and serious about communication in their local markets. So, I mean, I just think your show itself is a leading example of how to show leadership, because at the end of the day, it's all about communication. What does a family want when they get a home or a mortgage? They want communication. Be straight with me, be candid with me. What do agents work with, the loan officers they work with? They want good communication. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out there, Dave. And I want to go a little bit deeper. Full disclosure to our audience, in every city that we launch the American Dream, we isolate one elite expert in the mortgage space to be the voice for that marketplace. So it could be talking about loan product, interest rates, information that consumers or realtors should know. Dave has facilitated many of the introductions to who we've chosen to be that exclusive expert. Dave, why have you chosen those specific people, the Ryan Kiefers, the Kelly Zitlows, the Rick Scherers, the Andy Tuttles? I mean, these are some of the best in the business, but why did you think they'd be a good fit out of those cities?
Well, I mean, Mortgage Coach was founded on this belief that the best mortgage professional is the best teacher. someone that's an educator that leads with advice and education. And so, every time you're coming into a city, I look at who are the best mortgage coaches, because those are loan officers that believe that, they don't want to talk about rates and fees with families. They want to talk about hopes and dreams. What are your hopes and dreams around building wealth with real estate? And then let me help you get a mortgage decision that aligns around those hopes and dreams. So, it's really easy. With the amazing community that we built up, I pick the loan officers that are having the most hopes and dreams conversations, using technology to help families understand how to achieve their hopes and dreams with mortgage decisions. It's a layup, Craig. It's just the perfect partnership.
Dave, so with this industry moving as quickly as it is, not just this industry, but every industry with technology and the digital age that we're in, what do you think our conversation looks like in a year from now?
Boy, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I do not believe technology will eliminate loan officers or realtors, but I do believe that loan officers and realtors who master technology to deliver a high-touch, high-tech experience will absolutely take out the loan officers that don't. So I think that'll just become more obvious and evident a year from now. 2-3 years from now, it's going to be glaringly obvious.
And what advice would you give to anybody who is buying a home or refinancing a home? So B2C, give us some consumer advice here.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, when you're buying a home, you need options. Anybody that's just providing hey, here's the loan, you should do it, that's someone who's selling a rate and a payment and a product. So get options. Those should be delivered so that there's graphs and charts. And if you're consuming it from a mobile device, you've got it out. You can look at your options. We call it a total cost analysis, but I think every family that gets, whether you're going from renting to owning, whether you're moving up, whether you're picking between FHA and conventional, get a total cost analysis and work with a loan officer that does that.
Dave Savage is the guru in the mortgage space. Always great having you on The American Dream. Thank you, Dave, for coming on the show.
It's always an honor, Craig. It's good to talk with you, buddy.
All right, more of The American Dream coming up next.
Hello, this is Steve White with RE/MAX Equity Group Realtors, and I'm here with my dear friend Al Egg. You were the chaplain for the Portland Trail Blazers for 35 years.
35 years, yeah.
You were here at Portland State University for how long?
This is my 38th season as chaplain of the Portland State football team, and I was chaplain of the Portland Beavers baseball team for 33 years until soccer run them out of town.
So
and you're a soccer guy.
Don't shoot the messenger. So talk to me in regards to how did you even get into the chaplain world and athletics?
I did not seek it. I did not ask anybody to help me get it. It was not my dream. I never dreamed about it. God did it. It's that simple. I was first asked to do baseball chapel when the founder of baseball chapel, Watson Spolstra, we call him Waddy, he's the grandfather of Eric Spolstra, the father of John Spolstra, right here in Portland. And Waddy decided to extend baseball chapel to the minor leagues in 1978. And he didn't know anybody in Portland, but he knew there was a AAA baseball team here. He knew one man, Bud Miller. And he called Bud and said, can you get me somebody to do chapel for, well, Bud knew me because he was the landlord of the office building I worked in. And we had discovered that we were both Christians. So we were spending time together at the office about once a week. And so he asked me if I would do this baseball chapel thing. I didn't know anything about that, but I did it. And then God began to place a call on my life for full-time ministry. I resisted that for 11 months. But finally in November of 1980, I was teaching in a home group in my church in a family room of a person's basement when, through some events, God just spoke clearly through a prophetic word from one of those young ladies, a college student, and just made it clear that the call was, in fact, from him. The reason I had resisted that for so long, Steve, is that Bud Miller had given me a tape of a pastor in Southern California, and that as I listened to it, and it was a year before this, I remember that the guy said, there are many people in ministry today. Some were called, and some just went. I had to be sure that I was being called. God will bless both, but he's always going to bless those that are called. Those that just went, they may get the blessing and they may not. I couldn't risk that, so I had to make sure it was a call. And that night it became very, very, very clear that it was. So I said, yes, Lord, I'll be available to athletes and coaches. Because that's all I heard in the call to ministry, is that I was to be available to athletes and coaches. I was doing the Portland Beavers baseball chapel every home Sunday, and I had a Fellowship of Christian Athletes group at Aloha High School at the time. But other than that, I didn't know what sports ministry was about. And so I made the commitment on Sunday night. On Tuesday, I had one of those chance meetings downtown. I just happened to run into Michael Thompson. I had sold him a home 2 years before. We'd prayed together as we went through that process.
Go Realtors.
Yes, go Realtors. And so we're talking about his family back in the Bahamas. I didn't tell him what was going on. And out of the blue, yes, there is blue in November in Portland sometimes. Out of the blue, Michael said, Al, if I can get some guys together on the team, would you lead a Bible study for us?
With the Portland Trailblazers.
With the Trailblazers. And I had just said, yes, Lord, I'll be available to athletes and coaches. I mean, what could I say to Michael? I had to respond. 2 days later, Thursday night, I got a phone call from Kurt Wilmarth, who's now home with the Lord, and Neil Lomax. They were at Portland State, and they called and said, Al, we're trying to get a Bible study going on our football team. Would you lead it? And I had just said, yes, Lord. So that's how the ministry began. We named it Beyond Victory Ministries.
And that's still the ministry today.
That's still the ministry today. And immediately I asked God, who am I to be accountable to? He showed me 6 men, one of whom was that Bud Miller, and who's now home with the Lord also. But that's how it all began. It started with Bible studies, one at Portland State, one with the Trailblazers. The next year, Kelvin Ramsey was a rookie with the Trailblazers. He got involved in the Bible study, and then one day he said, Al, can we do chapel? Can we have a chapel service? Well, I said, sure, we can do it every Sunday like they do in football and baseball. He said, no, I want it every home game. And so he went to Jack Ramsey. Jack provided the room, was fully endorsing of it, provided the room for it, and we started the Blazer Chapel service. We believe we were the second or third team in the entire league to have a chapel. We know we were the first team to do it every home game. And other teams just followed until now.
Now, you do remember that when I was a little boy, you invited my father and I to come down to chapel, and I got to meet Michael Thompson and Julius Erving with the Philadelphia 76ers.
And Bobby Jones.
Yep, I got to meet them all.
If Philadelphia was in town, Bobby was always in chapel. One of my favorites. My wife Andy and I have stayed with Bobby and Tess in their home in North Carolina 2 or 3 different times, and just an all-time favorite player.
But in Portland, we've had a lot of high highs and low lows.
Oh, yes.
We've had the 90 and 92 championship runs. We've had the Jill Blazer era. Talk to me about what that's like, because you're on the inside.
Yeah.
Most people in
The
Portland.
championship runs were just full of excitement. We were so close, and yet stumbled with the Bulls. You know, Michael and Jordan was there, and Scottie Pippen, who later was a Blazer. I developed a great relationship with Pip when he was here, and had some interesting times with him. And Will Perdue was also with the Bulls then. Will was here. Will was, I happened to be at the practice facility, and I don't go there all the time. There's not much a chaplain can do during practice. But I was there the day Will got released. And his 17, I believe, 15 to 18 years, somewhere in there, career was over. I went in the locker room with him. There were some tears, and he's packing his bags, and he said, Al, are you in town this week? I said, yes, I am. He said, can we have lunch or something? I said, what are you doing for dinner tonight? He said, nothing. I just got released. And I said, well, come to my house for dinner. And I praise God that I have a wife that allows me to do that. So I went home and told her, and she fixed dinner, and Will came, and we had a nice evening meal together, and then sat in our family room and just shared about Jesus. And before Will left, he made a decision to pray a prayer of invitation, inviting Jesus to be Lord of his life. And it was an incredible time.
Now, what's it like, because you deal with people that are getting released, people that are coming in, so it's a very transient league. You have weddings, births of children, deaths that we've had here in Portland. Talk to us, how do you provide leadership to these people?
You just be available to them. The key to this kind of ministry, and let me back up again and say, I did not ask anybody to get me in with the Blazers. This was not something I was trying to do. God opened the door. He gave me 35 incredible years with the Blazers, and then he allowed it to end. And I'm fine with that. But the key to this kind of a ministry is two things: visibility and availability. I have to be visible enough so that they know who I am. That's especially key here at Portland State with the football team. I've got to be at practice as often as I can, not for the whole practice, but to make the rounds, slap some guys on the backside, say hi, give high fives, and that, so they know who I am. And then be available when they have a problem, when they're dealing with something. They know they can come to me because they've seen who I am. And that's the key to sports ministry, I believe. It certainly is for me. And, 35 years, let's back up and talk about the Jailblazer time.
Please do.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that want to know what it's like.
That was one of the most interesting things I've ever experienced, because we did get the name Jailblazers, and we earned it.
We did.
A couple of guys earned it for us, okay? That year, we had 9, 10, or 11 players in chapel every single home game of that season. To our knowledge, that's the highest consistent chapel attendance in the history of the NBA up to that time. And yet that's when we became Jailblazers. Because the media focuses on the knothead stuff. They don't focus on the guys that are spending 20 minutes in a chapel service before a game. So I always thought that was really interesting, that we could have that highest attendance and at the same time become known as Jailblazers.
I love you. Our families have been together forever. But with this, I just want to thank you for your time. Blessings to you.
Thank you, Steve. Bless you.
Yep.
Hi, this is Gary Horton, broker with RE/MAX Equity Group. I'm here on this vacant land with general contractor Ed Hesse from Macbo Construction. We're going to be talking today about how to build your dream home, even on challenging land. Hi, Ed. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, Gary. It's warm out here, but I'm really happy to be here with you and to show this beautiful property to the viewers out there.
Exactly. It's awesome. And we did have to make the hike, so that kind of explains the perspiration we have going on right now, but, that is what it is. So, challenging land. Of course, we do have to do some clearing here, so I think probably get a goat would be the first thing I think you would do.
Yeah, maybe a big tractor would be a better idea.
Oh, you think better than a goat? Just trying to go the green way with it, So,
yeah.
So what would you do here? How would you actually build a house? And I'm sure you've had plans for a house like this.
Well, we build houses on hillsides all the time.
Yes.
There's nothing really unusual about it. It's a little more technical with engineering, and so once we have the engineering, it's just a matter of getting all the equipment on site, getting people to do it, and making it happen.
That sounds fantastic. Now, I understand you have plans that have been drawn up for this particular property. We are in Oregon City, and so it, of course, is definitely on a hill. That for a 4-bedroom, 3 bathroom?
3 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, also with a garage and the potential of an additional living space over the garage.
Oh, so like you could have like an in-law suite or even just an Airbnb place or something like that.
Or an office, a home office if you wanted to.
Exactly, because it'd be lovely to be sitting out here on this 1.5 acres, and it's such a screaming deal for it too.
Why would you ever leave?
You've got great views and of course your privacy. And didn't you say something about putting the roof line basically almost with Bradley Road so kind of get rid of some noise?
Well, I think when you're on a property like this, you really don't want the people driving by to look down and seeing what you're doing. And so, to optimize the siding of the house for ultimate privacy and to be able to capture those views is really important.
That is the most important thing. So, and I think on the plans, if I remember correctly, there's going to be a pool?
The plans do include a pool. However, when we have a buyer, we're going to make changes so the buyer gets exactly what they want. They may not want a pool. They may want a waterfall. I don't know.
Oh, that makes sense.
The landscaping and all of that is ultimately the decision of the buyer.
That does make sense. So one thing, does this require a septic tank and a well, or is this on city water and city sewer?
This far out, we're on a septic system, and the septic system is ready to go. And city sewer is not available. We do have electric is available on the property, hasn't been brought down yet. And then we'll have a well as well.
This property is for sale. You can actually buy this 1.5 acres in Oregon City and build your dream home. The lot itself is $119,000, and you can go wild on what kind of house you're going to build, correct, Ed?
Absolutely. We'll build anything you want. And actually, if you want to bring in a mobile home or a manufactured home, we can site that just as well.
And you have your own architects who can actually come in?
Absolutely.
So that makes it great to do the plans and do everything.
And if the homeowner brings their own architect, we're happy to work with them too.
That's fantastic. Sounds like what MacBo is like one-stop shopping. Is that what it is?
The only tool you need.
There you
MacBo.
go. MacBo Construction. That's it. So thanks for watching. Now, if you're interested in this property or any other vacant land that you want to build a house on, please feel free to contact me. So let's send it back to the studio.
That's all for today's show. See you next week.